In this video, we're going to talk about the grid settings in the app. We've logged into our inverter here. We'll go to Settings, and then click on Grid. And here are our grid settings. Most of these we never mess with, but there's a couple of them that are important to know about. First is our grid standard code. That's always IEEE 1547. That actually sets most of these other settings, and those are the requirements to be allowed to connect to the grid. If we're on a small island grid, we may need to adjust some of these settings, and these will be different parameters that we get from the particular utility there for what to set them to. In general, the inverter, if it sees the frequency go too far away from 60 Hertz, either higher or lower, then it'll disconnect, and there's time thresholds for how long, for how far away before it disconnects. And also, if the voltage goes too much above or below, how fast it will disconnect. Those, if you're on mainland US grid, you never want to adjust them. But if you're on, like I said, island grids, Hawaii, some of the Caribbean islands, their frequency and voltage may vary more than the larger mainland grids, and you may have to adjust those under the direction of your utility company. The only ones of these that we generally adjust for any other system, and this includes some off-grid systems, is, especially if we're off-grid, we want to adjust the first boot, where it says 10 seconds here. Default on that is 300 seconds or 5 minutes. And this affects how long it takes to turn on from standby to on. And we generally set that to 10 seconds, as low as it'll go, just so it counts down from 10 instead of doing a whole 5-minute countdown to turn on when we turn it on from standby. Same with the reconnect and boot. Default on that is 300 seconds, and we want to change that to 10 seconds. And maximum input power from grid. This can be adjusted depending on exactly what you want to do. We can set it as high as 24 kilowatts. That's the full 100 amps coming in from the grid. And if we want a full 100 amp pass through, we might want to do that. We can set this lower if maybe we're on some sort of demand schedule and we never want to draw that much power from the grid. We could set it to 10,000 watts as is shown here. We could even set, maybe we never want to draw more than 5,000 watts from the grid. If we do that, we need to make sure that we have a big enough PV system and battery bank to keep our load satisfied if we're not drawing the maximum power from the grid that the pass-through breakers and the inverter is capable of. But that's where we would adjust that. We separately adjust in different places how much charging power we want to draw from the grid, or charging power during different settings. But this is maximum power for all purposes from the grid, including pass-through. So that wraps up our grid settings. In general, if you're off-grid, you're just going to come in, change your first boot and your reconnect and boot, and call it good. And even when you're on the grid, at most what you'd probably change is the maximum power input from grid. It's only when you've got smaller, less stable grids that you're going to get into any of the rest of these settings.